Put an oil pump in this one today. This is one I built a while back for a guy, and it ate the oil pump, which ate the bar, so I'm going to give him a bar. But that one there has Hudzel plastic, but everything else is OEM cases, cylinder, carburetor, all that stuff is, the hard parts are all OEM Husqvarna. But good saw. I don't know why it ate the oil pump. That was weird. So the day starts out in the right foot. One of the hydraulic hoses goes. And these guys, they make hydraulic hoses and made me a pair, so I'm going to do both of them. That's how my day started. They got a parts guy there. His name is Gene. And got to give him a shout out because he put these together pretty quickly. And really, really good at what he does. You know, it's really good to have a store that can take care of this type of issue. Very, very, very important if you're doing farming and or heavy equipment or whatever, to have, you know, the ability to get parts like this quickly. Thank you, Gene. By the way, there's nothing like an old jack pole to come up with tubes to put on those wrenches so an old fart like me can break loose those fittings for the hydraulic hoses. Now with hydraulic fittings, you don't have to go crazy with how tight they are. Half the problem with these damn things is getting to them. These old backhoes. You know, it's one of those things that's got to do what you got to do. So this is the beginning of the process of trying to bring this machine back to useful life. Okay? Basically, hydraulic hoses, they're going to go. You know? That's just what they do. Go out and get some big hose clamps so I can hold that down. I don't want this to stress that fitting up there. Alright, let me see if I can get the other side. I got this one loose, but the one down in there is going to be a trick. Boy, it makes it a lot easier when you have some leverage. Yeah, this is going to drip a little bit, isn't it? Do it as quick as I can. Didn't drip quite as much as I expected. I'm not going to argue about it. Yeah, I remember when I used to love doing this stuff. Now the love is replaced with pain. So, tighten that one up. What would I do without this? I'd be cursing and swearing and making all kinds of noise. Tighten up that one and all good. I think the moral of this story, this is one of those deals where, you know, it's an old backhoe and I'll be able to piece it together and it'll probably run for as long as I need a backhoe, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to have to replace a lot of these lines because it's been sitting outside for so long. So believe it or not, these were the only two hoses that leaked so far when I was down there on the road. You know, this one leaked a little bit, but should leak less. Make the EPA happy. And I'm going to go through and start looking for weather-checked hoses and just start replacing them one at a time. Back in the when I was using this for real, I had replaced most of these hoses, believe it or not. And it's just been sitting outside for 15 years. Well, actually 17 years now. So the weather just deteriorates the heck out of these things. That's what the price of, you know, having other things inside other than your equipment. You pay for it. So anyway, one of the big problems I'm going to have with this hoe is I'm going to have to get a tractor repair type company come in and suck out all the hydraulic fluid and put in new hydraulic fluid because it's got some water contamination from the years outside. I wish I had done the video, but on these big rams, these right here, and on the bucket rams, we got them repacked about a year ago. And in that process, we realized that the system had become contaminated. So that's a project I have to do. I don't know if anyone's interested in all that, but start putting together the old backhoe. I don't know what this was for. It obviously had a purpose. Oh, I know what this was for. This was the strap we had used to lift the big old ram in place, the big old, you know, hydraulic cylinder. But I don't think I need that anymore. On to the next project. The next project for today is putting a new belt on the big dog. And really the kind of projects I like are these. This cap kind of broke out. I'll put this one on. Made in Germany. $22 for this darn thing. Wow, look at that. Now that's the kind of tractor project I think we all like, you know. Something cosmetic, it makes it look a little nicer. Now I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the other person who helped me out quite a bit this morning. And that is when I came in with this goofy belt, which came apart after I hit some, well, it was pig fence. And things came to a stop in a hurry. But I went over to CNY Power Sports with that belt, and one of the people behind the parts desk, Haley, took a look at that and said, "Oh, give me that thing, let me figure it out." Measured it up and came up with this Land Pride product. we're going to see if it fits. And if it does, that means both Gene and Haley have made for a productive day for me. And I've got a lot of repair to do. I've got some oil changes to do. It's just one of those days. I'm going to change the hydraulic filter on that 780, and I'm going to change the oil in the small tractor. And when it starts raining, which I think it's going to do, I'm going to jump into doing some saw repair. I've got a 562 on the bench and a 357. Well, I'm not going to pull it off again to show you what I did. But the bottom line was I hooked it on the clutch in the rear and then used the diagram to run it around the pulleys. And then I just went and put my hand right up here and pulled like crazy, which pulled that tensioner, and got it on this pulley right here and just kind of rotated and pulled with my right hand, rotated with the left until it popped on. So that Land Pride belt does fit. That was really painless. You know that? So thank you, Haley, for coming up with a option for that belt. Looks like a good belt. So all I gotta do is put the covers on this damn thing and go. I guess the other way to look at it is she created some work for me, because now I have to go mow the lawn. I'd say the only thing that I did to make this easier on myself was pull the pin and let the deck all the way down so I had more space, you know. Well, today was supposed to be cutting, but instead we're going to do some fabricating and build a mount on that little spike there so I can put it on this tractor right here using these existing pins. That's the goal. We'll see how it works. So, and what I'm going to do is grind into the mounts and set these vertical, and then just drill holes, 1-inch holes, and see if it works. That was project number 1. Project number 2 I didn't plan on. I'm on my second tube because I put the first one in and didn't pull the nail out, and now I have to do it all over again. And while I was doing that, I realized I had a couple of these threads in this hub that were stripped. So what I'm going to do is just run some bolts back from the back side through, and then put lug bolts on the ones that are not so good. It'll get me by for the day. And if Napa had 6 of those, I would have done all 6 the same way. But they only had 3. So I'm going to have to wait for another time to get the rest of them done that way. I think that's probably going to be a better approach than just those bolts. So that monkey in football analogy does apply. So what do I got here? Make sure I don't have any obvious. Because I don't want to do this a third time. First time I did this, I had it right in the tractor. Stuck the tube right in there. second time I did this, I had it out here because I struggled. This is the third time. So I figure if I put it on camera, three's a charm. You know? So first is to get the right tube. You definitely want to get the right tire tube. What came out of there was actually a light truck tire tube. And the problem is they abrade. Because as much as you'd like to think you do everything correct, it's very hard to do this without getting a little dirt in there. And then what will happen is the dirt will abrade right through the tube. If that tire wasn't so loose, basically it's already been kind of stretched out, so the bead's a little bit stretched and everything. If that bead was tight like a new tire, it makes some sense to put some soapy water in there, you know. But being as loose as it is and dry as it is, and there's enough dust around, it's going to slip in there anyway. The second thing is there definitely is a right and wrong side to put that tire in. If I put this way, see how that stem wants to point down? It'd be real hard to get that into the rim. Putting it this way, it'll come right up into that spot. I always put just a little bit of air in there, and that reduces the chances of it being pinched, you know. And then, I don't know, you just sort of stuff it in. You know, a younger version of me could get this done pretty quickly. But the older version of me that you're looking at right now, this is not the easiest of tasks. Probably say that having the local tire store do this for $25 is probably worth a cent of that $25. You know? See how that just kind of popped right through the stem? I don't know if the camera shows that or not. And what I do is once I get it through, I grab onto it. Now, basically the game is you want that bead to go into that deep area on the rim. And this tire says it wants to be somewhere around 50 pounds. But I want you to notice that the bead popped out somewhere around 20 pounds. And you can see by these rings that it popped out evenly. If you see 3 of those little rings on this brand tire, that bead is already up in the rim. It's in good shape. So now I'll just put 50 pounds in there, set it back on the tractor. The other reason I put a little air in that tube before I put it in there, because if you put it in there all folded up, you know, it'll be like colicking a horse, where that tube can be in there all twisted, and then it has to untwist itself or kink, and then when you put the pressure in there, it actually can blow itself up. You know, I know the redneck side says, you know, I can just lift that tractor up with a bucket. But let me tell you what, as much as that's possibly true and probably true, one thing I've learned over the years, things can go bad in a hurry. I think what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to go through eventually and just get all of them this way. Another one of these combinations, and I need to put the cap on the valve stem. I got to chamfer that back a little bit and use the die grinder to eat that out some there. Then I'm going to set that flat stock right in there once I get the dimensions right. Kind of like that. And then drill some holes. I'm going to put it right down to the bottom. I want it as close to the spike as possible because I kind of want this as a backer when you roll the bale back so it doesn't come tumbling down into the tractor. And part of the reason we're doing this exercise is because I want the bale as close to the arms on that bucket, that loader arm, as possible, because that's not a very strong loader. And that's why that bucket came apart, is because we had a spike on that for the longest time. Just literally tore it apart. And I'm going to buy a universal adapter, cut the back of the bucket off for skid steer, and that'll come in a few weeks and make this an exercise that probably wasn't worth having, except for I need it this weekend. Been taking that hole in steps. I started out with a pilot drill, and then a 1/4 inch, and then a 1/2 inch, and then 3/4, and then I'll finish it off with the 1 inch. Like I've done that one. And this hole here, these are 1 inch bolts. You know, it's pretty tight. And I think what I'm going to do is two things. One, pretty sure the center to center and all these things is going to be the same. So when I weld them on, I'm going to leave those bolts right through because that helps line them up. The second thing is on those bolts themselves, for grease retention, I'm going to take the die grinder and put some grooves along the side of the bolt so it can retain grease. Farmer Jones. tack it in place. I want to get those lined up as best I can. I lined it up to the bottom of that piece of iron, and then I lined up the bolt to the piece of stock right below that. I'll tack this one first, and then I'll go and tack that one second. There it is. This first prototype here.
And we don't have any lights in here right now. So if somebody's tractor doesn't fit in the barn and we have to take the light bulbs out.
Well, the tractor took the light bulbs out.
Yeah, that too.
One at a time.
One at a time. We're broken.
So basically the beauty of the tractor, this one here, is you can get in behind those posts and
Well, yeah,
stack.
It's very maneuverable, which makes it nice.
And having a shorter implement here makes it easier to get back and do what you do here, stacking.